What's up? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the live stream. I hope you all had a great week off. Sorry for being absent for the last week. Looking forward to getting back into things. It was our spring break, so I had to catch up on things. What's up, Joey? How's it going? Thanks for coming back to the live streams. Good evening, Cursed Kitchen. How are you? Good, Joey. Good. That's always a line I like to do with people. So with the people who know Star Wars, of course. So it's one of Palpatine's more underrated lines. So, oh. Nope, did anyone leave or something? No, okay. Your thoughts on Disney buying Fox? Is that 21st Century Fox? Because if that, I mean, like, at least to me, it makes sense for like the Marvel stuff because they have some of the rights to Hulk and Spider-Man and stuff like that, and so now it gives them the ability to essentially, because like they had like some agreement with Fox had agreement with Disney at some point beforehand about who had the right to use the Hulk and Spider-Man, kind of like a limited use agreement type of thing. So I think it really makes more sense for like that. But if it's 21st Century Fox, then pretty much like they've completely owned Star Wars now. So it was Universal and Sony. Oh, that's right. Never mind. My bad. Fox is X-Men, right? Sorry, I'm not as like in tune with the Marvel stuff. I mean, like I watch them and I enjoy them. So I did see Captain Marvel last week too. That was pretty good. But yeah, I think it's the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Today I read that comic with Eth Koth. I won't spoil which, in case you haven't read it, and now I feel really sad for the guy. Uh-oh, which comic is that, Audio? Was there one that just came out? X-Men and Fantastic Four. Did any of y'all see Captain Marvel over since it came out? I mean, don't spoil anything. No spoilers here, but did you guys like it? I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely excited for Avengers Endgame too when that comes out. In like a month almost. That's crazy. It's like weird. There's like this little person thing in the corner up here. And like, I don't know if that accurately reflects the number of people that are on the live stream, but like because sometimes I'll say like 0, but there's definitely people on. So have you ever watched the Ewok movies? No, I have not watched the Ewok movies. And I haven't really watched any of those like odd things like the old Droids cartoon and or the holiday special. Especially the holiday special, because, yeah, we all know about that as Star Wars fans. Have you ever seen the music of Star Wars performed live? Actually, yes, I have, Cursed Kitchen. I went to go see, they did a performance at the Denver Center for Performing Arts. It was the day after Christmas. It was 2015, or was it 2016? It was 2016. Because I remember Rogue One had just come out, so then we saw it after that. But they did a whole bunch of variety stuff, mostly like top hits. Most of it was original trilogy, but they had a few prequel trilogy songs in there. Like they had Duel of Fates, Battle of Heroes, Across the Stars. Those were the 3 prequel ones that I remember. So. But the rest of that was original trilogy stuff, pretty much. Most of it was from A New Hope, of course. Um, they had a guy there who was like doing like who was talking in between the different songs, and he wasn't very nice with the prequel trilogy, and I really didn't like that. No, he tried to make like jokes about the prequel trilogy, and like no one laughed too, which was kind of hilarious. But um, yeah, it's awesome to see it performed live. So can't even imagine the people who were blessed to see it at Star Wars Celebration, most recent one, when John Williams literally conducted the orchestra. That must have been freaking awesome. I just recently saw the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack performed with the movies. That's what I've like. That's what I want to do. I want to go see like the movie with the soundtrack being performed by the orchestra simultaneously. I haven't been able to do that. All that was just like a Star Wars in concert type of thing. So there was one for A New Hope this summer, but unfortunately I couldn't go see that one. So have you ever been to the Star Wars Prequel Appreciation Society? Yeah, I check up with them every once in a while. So they're very good about getting out information much faster than I am. So I always like look at them for news sources, or like whenever they post something, I know it's gonna be good, or it's gonna be like important or relevant. So who is your all-time favorite character and why is it Clegg Holdfast? Oh, audio, man. I'm sorry. Clegg Holdfast is not my favorite character, but my favorite who like really is my favorite character. I've always said it's like Mace Windu or something like that, but I'm pretty sure that my favorite character, you know what my favorite character? My favorite character is the droid commander that goes in to attack Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, because I mean you got to think about it. I mean, yeah, this droid like isn't a person, obviously, but they must have been so brave to go up against these two Jedi. I mean, there was like 5 of those droids, right? There's like that dude and like 4 security battle droids. I mean, this guy was literally like, he knew he was gonna die. So, I mean, honestly, the bravest Star Wars character out there, like hands down. No, there's no one even compares. Rip that dude. I don't even know what his number is. I gotta figure out what his number is. Who is your all-time favorite character? And it hasn't updated in 4 months. Yeah, I mostly follow the Star Wars Prequel Appreciation Star Wars Prequel Appreciation Society on Facebook and Twitter. So, what's up, Batsy? Welcome back to the live stream. Dexter Jetster. I mean, we all know that Dex is literally the wisest character in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. I mean, I would like to see Yoda and Dex have just like I don't know what you call it. Not really like a debate, but like I'd love to see them face off their wisdom against each other. I would love to see them in like a witty conversation. That would be fantastic. Qui-Gon is my fave. Qui-Gon is definitely up there for me. So he was kind of, Qui-Gon to me is the character, well, maybe he's not the only one, but definitely by the end of Revenge of the Sith, I'm pretty sure he was the only character who actually believed in Anakin in a sense. Like after he died, like, I mean, think about it. No one really believed in him. Obi-Wan was kind of like, he's too old, blah, blah, blah. You know, the rest of the council was like, oh, you know, this kid's got, you know, mama issues and stuff like that. And so like, he's really the only character to me that really had true faith in Anakin. I mean, of course, I think Obi-Wan, like, it grew on him after a while, but I think like when Anakin turned, that was pretty quick he was pretty quick to be like, yeah, he's done. And then of course, like you watch the original trilogy and Obi-Wan's like, you got to kill Vader. Like there's no other way to do it. I mean, Yoda was the same way too, but Obi-Wan like basically was like, like he is gone. You need to kill him. Luke was a little bit wiser than that. So the droid's number is OW01. Thank you, Audio. I'm going to write that down now. I'll get it down off the live stream. But yeah, OW01 is definitely my favorite character of all time. Thoughts on Watto? Watto. Really, like, I don't have too much to say about Watto. I think he was just a little bit arrogant, I guess. I mean, like, his scene in Attack of the Clones, I thought was a little weird, but I mean, it made sense in terms of like him finding his mother, because obviously, she was owned by him. But I mean, like, in terms of his development, I don't think he was like too much of a, or really had too much of an impact in a sense, because although I did hear apparently that like he was one of the better slave owners of the like people on Tatooine. So I guess like it sounded like he treated them pretty well. And obviously Anakin wasn't like, I hate your guts, I'm gonna come back and murder you, you piece of crap. So I think Watto was probably sounds like Watto was one of the better slave owners. But I think as a character, he wasn't too important to the overall story. Do you think that Anakin would have turned if Qui-Gon was his teacher? That's a good question, Curse Kitchen. I've thought about this before, and at least in my opinion, I do not believe that he would have turned. I think ultimately, and again, this comes down to the faith thing that I was talking about earlier, is that Qui-Gon, I believe, had true faith in him when no one else did. I mean, like I said, Obi-Wan's was kind of, it developed over time because obviously he was, training him and stuff like that. But he kind of like knew that there were issues already, like starting off. And so when, it's, 10 years, like 10, 12 years down the line, and Anakin's, snap over to the dark side, I mean, obviously it's hard for Obi-Wan, but you could tell he's probably like, I should have seen this coming. Whereas I think like Qui-Gon would have known, or like would have been able to hold off Sidious's inquiries. Watto was a slave to his trade, but he had a good heart for who he was. That's a good way to put it, KX. I liked when Qui-Gon appeared on Mortis. I believe that you are the chosen one. You will conquer your demons and bring balance to the Force. See, Bassie, that's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, Qui-Gon had faith in Anakin, throughout his entire Jedi training. I mean, the real question is, and I guess I haven't, the only thing I know of about Qui-Gon after Order 66 was the one story from whatever, I don't remember the name of the book, but it was the book that came out for the 40th anniversary, and it was the one with all these compilations of stories from characters in A New Hope, and there was the one where Qui-Gon talked to Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan is in the desert. But so I haven't read that, so I don't know if he like made any comments about Anakin or anything like that during that, or they had time to catch up or get coffee or whatever. So I don't know if he still kept the faith through the original trilogy, but as far as I know, like when Master Windu was like, I don't trust this kid, Qui-Gon was still in his back court. So a lot of people dislike the bickering between Kenobi and Anakin in Attack of the Clones, but it shows how immature both parties were, as Kenobi often confessed he was not ready to take on his own Padawan. Yeah, that's a good point, KX. And like, as much as we like to say, oh, Anakin like is whiny and complains. I mean, look at Obi-Wan; he's like extremely like authoritative and strict, like to the book, like you need to do this. And Anakin, of course, is like the rebellious teenager. So it's just the perfect combo, right? The synergy is just so strong between those two. Obviously, I'm joking, but a lot of people don't look at Obi-Wan like in his development and how far along he came as a character. So it's a pretty important thing to look at as well. Obi-Wan seemed to just berate him instead of encouraging him. Anakin needed a father figure and not an older brother figure. Yes, Curse Kitchen. And there was so I listened to a podcast. I don't know if any of you guys listen to this. I listened to the Cantina Cast podcast. It's pretty good. If you haven't listened, you should check it out. But there was it's like a way old episode that was like a psychological breakdown of Anakin, and they basically talked about how like his whole motivation throughout his, I was gonna say career, but it's not really a career. Ever since he left his mother was kind of like to have emotional connection and like a family in a sense. And obviously going to the Jedi is not the, probably like the worst way to go about fulfilling that need. And so, and then Obi-Wan was kind of just like a, especially in Attack of the Clones was just, this is authoritative figure, policeman essentially to him, just kept him in line, and that's basically all he did. The war, and that's why I think the Clone Wars are interesting, because they brought the two closer together. And I love Revenge of the Sith, the start of it, when you see Anakin and Obi-Wan, and you can just you can tell that there was chemistry that had been built between the two throughout the past 3 years, because they've been fighting side by side. So that's one of my favorite parts about the transition from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and in their relationship. The main page for Star Wars Prequel Appreciation Society hasn't been updated in almost 4 months. Facebook still does. Yeah, I just follow mostly on social media and what they post. Usually it's updates on oh, there's a new prequel Star Wars Black Series figure or something that Hasbro's coming out with. So from a certain point of view, yeah, that's the book I was talking about. Yep. I actually have the book. I haven't read it yet because I'm trying to finish Thrawn Alliances. So. And that's also it's not a complete story. It's just a bunch of small stories. So I guess if you want a short read, it's good. There are some prequel references in that book too, by the way. Not just that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon story. I've heard of others. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. And they had Will I Hate the Prequels Wheaton writing one of the stories. I'm sorry, Joey. I don't know exactly what you're saying. Do you think OW01 could be Snoke? Audio. You're genius. Obviously, he must be Snoke. His battle with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan could be how he got the scars and why he wants to destroy the Jedi. This makes so much sense. Oh my gosh. Also, his golden robes are reminiscent of OW01's yellow markings. This needs to go on Reddit now. Audio, I need you to write up this theory in detail and please post it on Reddit. And I swear you'll be the most upvoted Star Wars post ever. I mean, this rivals Darth Jar Jar. I mean, probably is going to go beyond it. So, Will Wheaton is an avid prequel hater, and he wrote stories for a certain point of view. I don't know who Will Wheaton is. I've never read any of his stuff or whatever, but that's his problem. I mean, if he's not being asked to write for the prequels, then it doesn't bother me. I mean, there's plenty of other writers who enjoy the prequels. So, I mean, of course, there's going to be somebody who doesn't like it. So, Will Wheaton from Star Trek: The Next Generation, he hates the prequels. Shut up, Wesley. Yeah, Simon Pegg is another one of those people that just I like the rest of his movies, but I just when I know it's him, I a little bit because of the comments he made about the prequels around the time of The Force Awakens, and then they put him in the movie. Of course, it's dumb. Simon Pegg needs to figure it out. It would come full circle. OW01 is technically the first villain in the series, so he'd come back at the very end for the sequels. It's like poetry rhymes. Exactly. I mean, we're making connections here. I mean, they said that the episode 9 was going to wrap up the saga. So obviously, with a reveal that OW01 is Snoke, or was Snoke if he doesn't come back. Sorry, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen The Last Jedi. Well, they probably should have seen it by this point. But it's all tying it together. I mean, that's just that's the bow on top of the present right there. I mean, that's the ribbon. That's holding Star Wars together. He compared Lucas to a child murderer. For me, the saga ended. For me, the saga ended with Return of the Jedi. Well, if he's comparing Lucas to a child murderer, that sounds like it's his problem that he needs to deal with and work through on his own. Sorry, it's not your movies, dude. Deal with it. That's common to most people. Again, a lot of the nostalgia and possessive stuff with Star Wars is, it's a lot of people who kind of see as if they, I don't want to say own Star Wars, but as if it's part of them and they should dictate how it works. I really enjoyed the Age of Republic comics, but probably will be not reading the Rebellion ones besides the Tarkin and Yoda ones. Yeah, honestly, like I just think Luke and Leia and Han and all those characters have been beaten to death. I mean, like we're milking a cow, and there's not much milk left. So I just don't think they're as interesting because they're more developed characters. We know what they've been through, or well, a lot more of what they've been through, and so I mean, I don't, they always seem to make them interesting, like in terms of like their overall impact. So like you'll read this comic and it'll be like, oh, it's just a side story, but you'll see they'll connect it somehow to everything, and it makes like a lot more sense and it's more ingrained. So I'm sure they'll be good, but I guess just to me, it doesn't interest me. And I mean, like obviously I still like the original trilogy and stuff like that. So it's not like that's not the problem. It's just like I've seen so much of them. It's just like need some other characters. He plays Dengar in the Clone Wars. Are you talking about what is it, Will Wheaton? More beautiful irony, OWO1 would have been killed by a man named Ben twice. See, it's all coming together. It all makes sense. I mean, this had to be the game plan from the beginning. I mean, when George Lucas was making the first Star Wars movie, he had to know. I mean, like that he was going to put this character in the Phantom Menace in like 22 years or whatever, and then he was going to be the ultimate villain. So, I mean, like we got Sidious, we got Darth Plagueis, and then Darth Plagueis above him is OWO1. I'm only collecting prequel canon comics, and that's my favorite era. I just ordered Padme and Grievous comics. Yeah, I think we're almost done with Age of Republic. So when that's done, I'll get the comics and I will read them, and then I'm gonna do a comprehensive kind of like give my thoughts. I mean, like I'm not gonna give a review because at that point most people are gonna read them, but I do want to let you guys know kind of like what I thought about them. So I have seen the Dooku one. That one was pretty good. So I'm pumped to see how the other ones turn out. So it's like they don't really get the saga. Are you talking about in terms of like the sequel trilogy films, Curse Kitchen? For the record, I was talking about Simon Pegg. Oh, are you okay? Well, I mean, irregardless, it's a Simon Pegg problem. He's got to deal with it. So if you have a problem with George Lucas, that's your problem. That's not his problem. He did nothing wrong. You think he did something wrong, so that's a you problem. Don't know what to tell you. So they're really good. You'll enjoy them, KX. Good. Ring Theory. I hope so. I've loved almost all Age of Republic comics so far, save for Anakin's story. I ordered the Choose Your Own Adventure Obi-Wan Anakin Book 2. Next, I need Queen's Shadow and Master and Apprentice. Yeah, so I think right now I'm like 70% through Thrawn Alliances. So I'm trying to get that done so I can get Queen's Shadow and freaking read that book. Although I heard it's a quick read, according to some folks. So that's good. So hopefully it shouldn't take me too long to get through it. I just got to find time to like sit down and like read for a good couple hours and just finish these books. And because I want to get Queen's Shadow done so I can go on to Master and Apprentice in April. So I'd probably do Queen's Shadow, Master and Apprentice, and then Thrawn Treason. I think that's coming out in this summer. No Vader poster, bro. Are you talking about these? Because these are my roommate's posters. I have a couple posters. I didn't put them up, but I have one that it has like the 6 posters for each of the Star Wars movies, but they're kind of like cropped in the middle. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it has like Vader in the center. I have a poster of that. I bought on Etsy. Someone did a kind of a freehand sketch of Darth Vader, and I swear it is like the best sketch or like rendering of Darth Vader I have ever seen on a like done by hand essentially, because Vader's his helmet is so smooth and reflective. It's so hard to get the shading and stuff like that done right. And this looks literally flawless. I don't actually remember where I put it. I wonder if maybe it's not in there. I'm gonna check real quick because I think it might be in here. No. Okay, no, it's not in there. It's in. I paid like $80 for it, so it's somewhere in a box, in somewhere protected, so it's good. But at some point, I'll pull it out and I'll show it to y'all whenever I find it. So I never like actually fully moved out or moved in. I just kind of unpacked the things I needed, and now we're almost done with school. So by that point, I'll be unpacking everything once I move. I hope we get more Newt Gunray stories. I always liked the political characters, and it would be cool to flesh him out some more. Yeah, I think Newt Gunray deserves a little bit more attention in terms of his overall character. I think like because the only thing like basically our impression of him right now is that he's just kind of slimy and just gross, just nasty. I mean, like he obviously he instituted this trade blockade or was instrumental in it. And then after that, he just basically in Attack of the Clones, he just wanted to murder Amidala. Like it was his sole like his sole objective for the entire movie was Queen Amidala and asking if she's dead yet. And then in the third movie, his whole objective was to be killed by Darth Vader. So they don't really give him much attention in the Clone Wars. I mean, I think Jar Jar may have got more screen time in the Clone Wars, from what I can recall, than Newt Gunray. So I would agree. Newt Gunray needs a little bit more attention. I don't say give him some love because he's a terrible being or whatever. But I'd be interested to see him fleshed out a little bit more in detail. Do you have a favorite Vader costume? Mine is Revenge of the Sith one, followed by Rogue One, A New Hope, because of the red visor lenses. So I know there's subtle differences between the Vader costumes, or the Vader armor sets. I don't know if that's like supposed to be like canonically, if they're supposed to be canonically different, like, or if it's just because they made them differently or something. I mean, I guess like if I had to go with a favorite one, I would probably go with Return of the Jedi. I don't know, for some reason he looks really he looks good in that movie. Can't really say too much about why that is. I'd say like the biggest difference I noticed is like in A New Hope, like his helmet is very matte, and like obviously the paint job on it is not as good because they didn't have as much money for A New Hope as they did for like Empire and Return of the Jedi. So, but that's like the biggest difference I noticed. Otherwise, I don't like really pay attention too much to the differences between the Vader costumes in the movies. How did you get into Star Wars? That's a good question, Curse Kitchen. So really it was the prequels, because when I was very young at the time, I do not recall seeing A New Hope, or not A New Hope. Of course I don't recall seeing A New Hope in theaters. I don't recall seeing The Phantom Menace in theaters. I was like 3 at the time. I do remember, so this is a funny story. I do remember, I don't know what year, it was like 2000, 2001 or something. My friend had a birthday party at a bowling alley, and I went to this birthday party and they were serving hot dogs. The hot dog that I got was very, I don't know, must have been tainted, because all of a sudden, like, I got very sick, and like I was running to the garbage can, and there was like literally a big garbage can, and I threw up like right in front of the garbage can. Not into the garbage can, like right in front of it. And so I went home because I was sick, obviously. And so the first thing I did when I got home is I was like, hey, Mom, I want to watch The Phantom Menace. So that's, I watched Phantom Menace, of course. So that's how this whole story ties in. But at least in terms of like getting into Star Wars, it's definitely the prequels. I didn't watch the original trilogy movies until I think I was 7 or something. Because I remember when I first saw them, my dad pulled out, we had the 1995 VHS box set. So this was before the special editions. Well, at least I didn't see the special edition changes until later, until I saw the DVDs. But he pulled out the box set and we watched the box set. So that's when I would like watch the original trilogy first. I do recall faintly seeing Attack of the Clones in theaters, because I remember being there and thinking how awesome the Geonosis battle was. That was like the only thing I remembered from being there in the theaters. Revenge of the Sith, I do recall very clearly being at the theater. I saw it 3 times. I remember that. I collected the Burger King toys. I still have those Burger King toys. I didn't get all of them, but I got the Vader Anakin one, the like limited edition one, and that was so cool. I still think it's cool. I kind of want to like go on to eBay and buy the rest of them just because they're kind of collectible these days, I guess. There's like fast food toys, but I remember doing that. I remember like getting like the Lego sets some of the Lego sets for the movie. I think I've talked about that before. I talked about also in like one of the past live streams, I had like the Vader Anakin like transformation figure where you could like turn Anakin into Vader and Vader to Anakin, blah, blah, blah. Well, that never really happens, at least not in a physical sense. Yeah, but I remember going to see the movie 3 times and it was awesome. It was very cool. So when I was never really actually, so this is a long drawn out answer, but kind of giving you like the whole story of Star Wars for me. But so I really I really enjoyed Star Wars and like I bought Star Wars Legos and stuff like that. But like I never really like got into it on a deeper level until 2014 actually, when I started watching the movies again because it had been a long time, and I watched them all 1 through 6. And I was like in high school. I was like 17, so I was a little bit older. And I kind of like I saw a lot of symbolism that just slipped my mind as a kid. And so I think that's like so cool, is like to watch Star Wars as you grow up, you start to understand like more and more about it, and it just becomes such a much more well-developed story, or you start to understand about how well-developed the story is. And so that's when I like really got into Star Wars, was like 2014. I knew that obviously, Disney had bought Star Wars, so I was like, well, this is probably a good time to get started because they've, the expanded universe, they kind of, obviously they kind of cleaned that slate. So I was like, well, if I get started now, I don't have, too far to, I don't have too much to catch up on. So that's really how I got into Star Wars in a sense. So, so let's see what I missed. Okay. Apparently there's a whole Neimoidian fandom subculture. That's interesting, Batsy. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Do you check out Deviant Art? I do not. Like, I don't go looking for Deviant Art, but I do see like some of the stuff that like people like retweet and stuff on Twitter. But I should probably look at it more often. Gunray got like 1 Clone Wars episode, if I recall correctly, and he was kind of ignored in Legends, I think. So there's lots of room. The Neimoidians are super cool. Yeah, I mean, like even some of his like accomplices, because they were pretty, interesting, I guess. Like I really thought the most interesting part of them was the beginning of the Phantom Menace, when they were talking about the whole blockade thing and what their plan was, and this deal with Sidious that they're talking about. So I think like even some of his comrades or whatever, would be cool. I don't think they deserve I don't think they need like their own comic or anything, but they should be part of his comic, or Newt Gunray's comic, in a sense. I think it's just because people like associate him with the politics of Star Wars so much that is probably just this negative connotation about Newt Gunray for like more casual fans. So, or people who really don't like the politics stuff. Even though that's not like my whole argument with politics in Star Wars is that everything has a purpose when you watch like the political stuff that's going on. So that's a whole nother argument though. Oh, did you know that a whole year before The Phantom Menace came out, Star Wars created the first ever prequel story starring Kiadi Mundi of all characters? I actually didn't know that. I guess they would have kind of known some of the characters beforehand, at least what they look like, maybe not any of the story details. So that's interesting. I want to kind of want to read that comic just to see what people thought about what was going to happen. Despite the hate for the special editions, I feel the 2004 versions are the best since they added Hayden Christensen, fixed a lot of Cloud City wide shots, and included Ian as the Emperor in The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, again with the special edition changes, there's the only one that like really kind of does bother me is the Han shooting first thing, but like it's not like I lose my mind over it or whatever. I'm not like this movie's terrible because George meddled with his own work, blah 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 blah. You know, it's all stupid. It's stupid. And I like one of my favorite changes are the continuity ones. So like, you know, Ian doing the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back. The changing out Boba Fett's voice for to you know to Tamura Morrison's voice for because he's a clone of Jango Fett. Like that stuff I think is cool. Like those are my favorite ones. The like minor things like the extra shots aren't like a big deal to me. The Cloud City shots aren't like a big deal either. The continuity ones are the most important to me. The puppetry behind the Nemoidians was amazing. Yeah, I mean, like I watch the Phantom Menace, and a lot of people don't know because they have this, you know, predisposition in their mind that the prequels are all, you know, CGI. That the Nemoidians were animatronic, like their heads and stuff were animatronic. That's, I mean, and they look really good. Like if you like watch like their mouth and like eye movements in detail, I mean, they look pretty dang natural. I mean, like at least as far as animatronics go, you know, they're not very robotic. You know, it's hard to see that, you know, to tell like that they're animatronic. Many think they're racist stereotypes. It's just because Newt Gunray has this really sharp Asian accent. I mean, like, I don't know. To me, I don't think it's like, it's not that like big of a deal. I mean, he gave them all accents, but you know, I don't know. I mean, there were other Nemoidians and stuff like that that had, or that, you know, had different accents. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't like dive into that too much. Star Wars fans hate the politics, yet they made a whole book about politics in Queen Shadow. Haha. It's the hypocrisy, man. It's the hypocrisy. Wait, I might know you. All right, wait. Because I know a guy making dubs of the comics. Yeah, Audio. I'm gonna have to check out your comic dub over or dubs, man. It'd be pretty sweet. I'm one of the few who prefers Tamura Morrison's voice. Original Boba voice sounds like a 30s gangster. Yeah, I mean, like, I think Tamura Morrison, I mean, like, the Boba Fett thing was obviously good. The one thing that kind of bothers me, though, is, like, that they don't use it in the Clone War, or in the Clone Wars. They use Bradley D. Baker's voice. And, like, he's good, but he's not as good as Tamura Morrison. And like what I mean, like I played Battlefront 2, and they used Baker's voice for the clones in that game, and I kind of wish they used Tamura Morrison's voice because they already did him for Jango Fett, or Boba Fett. So you know, I just like, I don't know, I prefer his voice to Bradley D. Baker's voice. In like general, in terms of like Clone Wars versus like prequel trilogy, like in terms of like actors and like voiceovers and stuff like that, I much prefer the prequel trilogy actors and voices to Clone Wars, just because that's the first one I heard. So there's a really cool behind the scenes video about the prequel aliens. Silas, the actor for Gunray and Mundi, talked about how within the 3 films the Nemoidian puppetry greatly improved. Yeah, I remember I watched it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I watched the one behind the scenes thing I watched was on the Phantom Menace. I think it's on the Star Wars YouTube channel of like making of the Phantom Menace or something like that. I watched that. That was pretty interesting because I remember they talked about the Nemoidian stuff, and I remember they had the masks on and they were showing the mouths and the eyes moving and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Silas called the prequel puppets more sophisticated. Yeah, I mean, like they're definitely, it's like if you're not paying attention, it's really hard to notice that they're animatronic. So, or that they're puppets. So, was intended to be a Transylvanian accent. I don't even know what a Transylvanian accent like sounds like. I've never heard that. Bradley D. Baker clones are too high pitched. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like, I think that Tamura Morrison's voice just sounds a little bit more like rugged and like warrior like. That's kind of a weird way to put it, but it sounds better for the aesthetic that the clones have. So I'm just glad, like, when we watch like Revenge of the Sith and like Attack the Clones, that we get to hear his voice for the clones there. So I at least wish Bradley tried to sound like Morrison. It really breaks the lore for me. Yeah, I would agree, KX. It's just kind of one of those sore thumb things that just stands out and just bothers me. And like Tamura Morrison, like, he's still active in like the Star Wars community and stuff like that, and like he goes to Celebration and stuff like that. So like I don't see a reason why he would really have issue with doing voiceovers, because he does it. He's already done it for the games for Boba Fett, like, you know, for the 2 Battlefront games. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's just super busy. I don't know what he's doing these days in terms of acting, if he's even still acting. But I think he needs to do more voiceovers for the clones. I thought that was Grievous. Well, speaking of Grievous, he's also one of the characters that I don't like the voice in the Clone Wars as much as the Revenge of the Sith. Although I think Matthew Wood did do the voice for both Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't know. The voice mixing for Grievous in Clone Wars was just like, I don't know. I didn't like it, to be honest. I like in Revenge of the Sith, he sounded way more intimidating. I think like in Clone Wars, I don't know how to like say it, but he had kind of more like, whereas in Revenge of the Sith, he was more like, you know, I don't know. It's like, it's weird to describe, but did you see Aquaman? Morrison is in it. I heard he was in it, but I haven't seen Aquaman. So thank you for reminding me. I got to go check it out. Dracula accent is Transylvanian. I mean, I guess I was wondering. I don't know. That's just like, I'm just going to watch Star Wars and enjoy it. I'm not going to try to get into like SJI stuff with Star Wars and politics and all that jazz. I mean, like our politics, not Star Wars politics, but these people, man, they want to nitpick these movies and just like pull them apart piece by piece. Stupid. He played Aquaman's father. Oh yeah, well, I remember hearing about that one. So Matt Woods has voiced Grievous in every single appearance since Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I don't know. The Revenge of the Sith voice for Grievous was so good. Clone Wars Grievous and the Battlefront 2 Grievous just don't sound. They just sound off to me. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have that much time to like do like good voice mixing. I don't know. It's weird. Honestly, like with the Clone Wars, the animation, a lot of it, I honestly like, maybe this is an unpopular opinion of mine, but like I wasn't a big fan of like some of the character models. Like I think like the clones, especially the Phase 2 clones, they look weird. They look really weird. I don't know if they had time to, you know, like if it's just because like a time issue or what, but like the clone armor does not look correct. Does not look very good in my opinion. Anakin, like most of the other characters look pretty good. I think Anakin and Obi-Wan though stand out as some weird looking characters. Like their proportions are really weird because their legs are super long. If you like go and look up like the promo shots for like the Clone Wars like movie, they look really just out of proportion. It's kind of weird. But like obviously I don't watch it for the animation as much as I watch it for the story. So that's the important thing. Woods did a lot of his own audio mixing. Maybe he changed it up in the show. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a professional audio mixer or like sound effect person, so like I don't know what they're doing. So I'm trying not to like say that I know what they're doing or whatever. But I don't know what Matthew Woods decided to do or decided to change. So. Oh, so did any of you have any of you guys watched the Star Wars or have been watching Star Wars Resistance? Did any of you guys see the season finale? If you did, leave your spoiler-free comments in the chat. So I watched it. I thought it was pretty good. So I'm actually really enjoying Star Wars Resistance. I feel like the past, obviously Clone Wars and Rebels, I think have had like more rough starts in terms of popularity. So seeing a Star Wars show start off pretty good is kind of refreshing. So I just like I want to see them tie it into everything else, that's going on, and not just be like a sideshow that has like minimal impact on the overall story. So it seems like if you watch like the latter episodes, they start to tie it into like the Force Awakens and stuff. So I thought that was interesting. So I think we'll get there. I think they're gonna migrate it into, or it's gonna get more interconnected. Is what I'm trying to say. The Clone Wars does seem watered down to make it not as controversial as the prequel movies. I do love every Clone Central episode. Yeah, I mean, again, the Clone Wars, like it's a great TV show. At least, I mean, in my opinion, it got better over time. It's aged like fine wine, that's for sure. Seasons 1 through 3 are probably my least favorite, but seasons 1 through 2. Once you get to season 3, I think things start to pick up and it starts to get better with each successive season. So, but I mean, the story stuff is all there. So the animation and stuff like that's like icing on the cake. But like you're not going to just eat the icing, right? You need a cake for icing. You can eat a cake on its own without icing. I mean, like a lot of people don't even like the icing, but you can't really eat icing without cake. That's kind of gross, I guess. So it's more important that you have a better story than, better visuals. I agree with the art style in the Clone Wars being kind of ugly at times. I think Kit Fisto is an interesting exception because he looks way more handsome in the Clone Wars compared to the films. Yes, audio. Actually, it's a good point. Yeah, Kit Fisto definitely, like, in the prequels just looked very... He's probably, like, one of my least favorite costumes in the prequel trilogy films. He looked just very plastic and expressionless and just kind of, like, force push the droid. And then he smiles. But like in the Revenge of the Sith, I mean, he literally just stands there and just gets like wiped out by Sidious. Whereas like in the Clone Wars, we see him take on Grievous and all that other stuff, and I think he definitely looks better in the Clone Wars. So my main turnoff from the Clone Wars was the logo art style. I can't stand it personally. I mean, it doesn't like bother me. It does look like a little weird. It does look a little off. But I mean, I think that's just the show in general. It's just like a little off. So at least you don't have to look at it for 23 minutes. Mass Season 1, at least the females have better curves than Rebels. Yeah, I think like the Rebels animation style was much better, although I still don't like the Stormtroopers in Rebels. They looked a little weird because their features were so exaggerated. Like, so whatever that thing is that's like sits right here on the nose, like that grill just is like super long and like looks weird. But the other like characters who weren't Stormtroopers, I thought looked pretty darn good. So oh well, sorry, I said logo. I may have said, or you said Lego. My favorite episodes of Resistance are the ones that don't involve Yeager being a douche and Kaz not being cringy. Oh wait. Oh, so I guess you're not a big fan of Resistance then, Batsy. I'm just not emotionally involved with any of the characters. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that I think is just because the characters are new, like they're completely new, and they're not really tied into the characters that we are more used to. So, I mean, I would like to. I'm not gonna spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen the end of Rebels, but I would like to see them tie in Resistance, maybe the end of Resistance to the end of Rebels. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to have some kind of tie-in because, mean, there's no way that the show can run. Like, the show is good right now as it is, but there's no way that it can stay as it is. It has to escalate with these new seasons. So last episode was the only episode where Kaz didn't get hit in the head or foot, I think. You know what? Actually, it'd be kind of funny if one of you guys puts together. I don't have the time to do this. I wish I could. One of you guys has the time to put together like a compilation of just like 1-second clips of Kaz just being a complete klutz. You'd probably have like 10 minutes of video, and you'd probably get like 1 million views on YouTube. So if anyone wants to take on that challenge, that'd be pretty cool from like season 1. It'd be awesome. And then send me a link if you do that. At Chris Kitchen, the Clone Wars was actually created to be a quick fix. Lucas has said it was made in the style that OT and Anakin was greatly changed from a 19-year-old teen to a 19-year-old Han Solo. Yeah, I just like Anakin's character development in the series is good, but they don't seem to do much to me to like bridge his Attack of the Clones to Clone Wars. Like, I don't even know. I've actually never bothered to read about it, but I don't. Do any of you guys know what the time jump is from the first canon or what the first episode of Clone Wars chronologically? Is it like Cat? I think is it like Cat and Mouse? That's like the first one. Because like the Clone Wars movie was like third, and then there's like a few episodes before that like actually occurred before the events of the movie. So I don't know, like I don't know what the time jump was between the very first, like when we first start Clone Wars chronologically and Attack of the Clones. Who is your favorite prequel character? What's up, Shadow Deist Gaming? Welcome to the live stream. My favorite prequel character, this always seems to jump around a little bit, but my favorite prequel character is probably this always changes from day to day, but today it's Mace Windu. So Mace Windu is a total badass, and he's got a purple lightsaber. So who's your favorite prequel character? You want to let me know? Did they ever leave the station? That's another one of gripes about the show. No planet hopping. So they did leave the station in one episode, but I mean they came back at the end. So I mean, like, it's not really leaving the station, and they also didn't go to another planet in a sense. They kind of just went into space. So, but I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but never mind. I'm not going to say it. I won't say it. But they're not staying on the Colossus or whatever the station is. So, or the planet. Station's left. The station had a hyperdrive, and they're going somewhere. So I'm interested to see where they're going to end up. I feel like they're going to go to Takodana, but that's just a hunch. 2 months. The Clone Wars starts 2 months after Attack of the Clones, and Anakin is instantly a man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you start Attack of the Clones. you watch Attack of the Clones, and Anakin's like this complaining about all this crap. And then, we're 4 months into the Clone Wars, 2 months into the Clone Wars, and he's like super mature. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just went through a lot of stuff before then. I don't know. It's 2 months of war, so it could have been really intense. So I mean, I guess that's fair, but it is kind of. I mean, it is a little quick for him to mature. Whatever. The prequels never needed fixing. No, they don't need fixing. It's the whole point. Wrong. Your favorite prequel character is OW01. Audio. OW01 is my favorite character because he's not just a prequel character anymore. He is a saga character. He is an overarching character. I mean, for all we know, OW01 could have had his 3 little droid fingers dipped into every single Star Wars story out there. I mean, for all we know, he could have he could have been there to, like, if you read the Rogue One Catalyst novel, there's a part in it where Galen gets captured by separatists. He could have been there when they released Galen Erso. I mean, he could have had a hand in so much. I mean, it's all probably his plot. Sidious was just his pawn the whole time. Did you know Mace Windu didn't always have the purple lightsaber? Before Episode 2 came out, he was depicted in all the media he appeared in wielding a blue one. Well, so like audio, because I wasn't old enough. I don't actually remember too much about the promotional stuff, but I guess it would make sense to me because they probably didn't want to really drop that he had a purple lightsaber in the promotional stuff before the movie came out. So you don't want to spoil those things. I know it's not like as big of a deal, but you know, you still want to have that wow factor when you show up to the movie and like, oh my gosh, it's Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber. That's so cool. I've never seen one before. At Joey Piper, I agree. The symbolism and character depth is phenomenal. OT fans just prefer a black and white story arc without political depth. Yeah, so I mean, the OT again. I like the OT. The OT story is good. It's a good story, and it works great with the prequels. But if you watch the prequel trilogy as a whole, and I'll say this over and over again, as a story is much more. Was much deeper, and is much more intertwined within itself in a sense. And that's the thing, is the more connections you create as a writer, the more you gotta connect all those at the end. So when you create more characters and add more elements to your storyline, it now becomes harder for you to complete the storyline. So I mean, that's again, this in my opinion, this is how in my opinion, this is why the prequels are so good, because George is able to take all of these storylines and wrap them up in a very succinct fashion. So my favorite prequel character is Darth Maul. Shadow Deist Gaming, what is your opinion on Darth Maul being resurrected for the Clone Wars? And Solo, I guess, because he's in Solo. Spoiler alert, sorry. If anything needs fixing, it's the sequel trilogy. OT fans are the worst. I mean, it's not all OT fans. It's just the OT purist ones, the ones who think that your opinion is wrong and you shouldn't be entitled to your opinion. Like, if they didn't bother anybody, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, if you don't like the prequels, that's, fine. Just don't, tell me that that my opinion isn't, worthy or, valuable. Get off your high horse. That's my point. Jackson asked for purple blade so that he could find himself in wide shots on Geonosis. Beforehand, Mundi had purple lightsaber. Now, the promotional material had purple lightsabers everywhere. The Jedi Council had a very diverse array of lightsabers, and all of them had their sabers retconned to either blue or green. Yeah, honestly, I just don't remember too much of the promotional stuff. Although, I think I talked about this in one of the other live streams too, but there was 2 summers ago, I went to this, I don't even know what you call it. It's like an estate sales store. They had a lot of stuff, but it was from estate sales, and they had a whole aisle of Star Wars stuff. And from what I recall, there was a bunch of Attack of the Clones stuff. And I remember they had cereal boxes from the Attack of the Clones, like special edition cereal with the rainbow color special box thing, those things that you turn it and it changes the image. It was like those, but it's on a cereal box. Well, no, it wasn't that. It was just more it was just very silver and looked kind of plasticky or whatever. But that's what I remember, I guess, as far as Attack of the Clone stuff goes. So it was interesting. Now they have yellow. Yeah, the Jedi Council or the Jedi Temple guards have yellow. You got to read the EU. Haha, lots of good lore. Yeah, it's I want to read it. I just wish I had more time, and I'm trying to keep up with the canon stuff at the moment. So if I ever find myself super bored, I will try to get into some of the EU stuff. I love the fact that they brought back Darth Maul. Savage Opress just wasn't doing it for me. Yeah, I mean, Savage is not a very deep character. I kind of feel sad or feel sorry for him, but he's not a pivotal character as a whole, in my opinion. Mace Windu versus Darth Maul. That would be interesting because they're both kind of very fiery warriors. I'd actually like to see that. I've seen that cereal box. Yeah, it's like very silvery and color, it's kind of colorful, but it's like subdued. It's weird. Yoda versus Grievous. That would also be interesting because Grievous would just swing all of his lightsabers around, and Yoda would be jumping all around. So, all right, thanks for coming to live stream, Joey. May the Force be with you. It is actually, oh my gosh, it is 9 o'clock. So we're gonna have to wrap this up here for today, guys. Thank you for coming to the live stream this week. I'm going to read these last 2 comments here. So Mace Windu with his purple lightsaber versus Mace Windu with his blue saber. I mean, that's got to be the best Star Wars battle right there. Snips had yellow, green. Master Sanubia had white, blue. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if they have like the off color stuff. I don't really like. It's like, oh, it's yellow, green. You know, I don't know. I just like it's green. It looks green to me. But I don't know. I don't like. I'm just like, it's blue or green. Maybe it's purple. Maybe it's yellow. If it's red, you're bad. If you're white, it's Ahsoka from Rebels. I actually prefer the purple lightsaber blade, but I prefer Mooney's purple lightsaber. You can have purple mace versus blue mace in the Revenge of the Sith game. I only had a GameCube at the time, so I never got to play the Revenge of the Sith video game. But okay, so it is 9:01. I gotta wrap it up, y'all. So thank you for coming to the live stream today. I'm gonna try to get a video out this Friday for you. So and come back next week for some more Star Wars discussions. Other than that, y'all have a great rest of your week. May the Force be with you always. Bye, KX and Batsy. Thank you for coming. See ya, Mr. Pete. The Mr. Pete channel needs 700 subs. Thank you for joining. And yeah, as always, may the Force be with you. I'm going to say always again, but always. Woo! End the stream.